you have a question for Coach Davis, raise your hand. We'll bring the microphone to you.
Hey, Coach, this defense lost a lot of sack production from last year with Yasir Abdullah, Yaya Diaby. How high are your expectations for Ashton Jalali this year to pick up some of that?
Well, I thought those guys were great players, and more than that, I thought they were great people. I got a chance to be around them, and you can't get two better people than that. So we all have high expectations for Ashton. We think he's going to be a great player for us. He needs to continue to develop. I think he's with one of the best, if not the best, defensive line coaches in the country. So we expect him to play well.
Ron, when we talked to you a couple weeks ago, you talked about building the depth and still in the middle of fall camp to do that. Do you feel confident going into game week that you've built the depth that you need at some positions to kind of rotate guys? And how do you manage that now in a game?
I do feel like that. And we just go in with a plan. You have to go in with a plan to play these guys, and you have to believe in them enough to play them, and regardless of the situation. Sometimes you got to put guys in. And I just learned that in the really with Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen, taught me that in the SEC. I mean, you're not going to get to October, November, December effectively without playing players. So we're committed to that.
Kind of bouncing off that depth with MJ Griffin going out, he was primed to have a pretty big role with this defense. What's it been like filling that gap these past couple of weeks and kind of that next man up mentality?
Well, it's a shame because MJ, I thought, was developing to an outstanding player, both on and off the field, in the sense of his study and work habits, his attention to detail, his desire to be a great player. But, MJ was a piece of a puzzle, and so we have other pieces, and we're developing those pieces, and we're going to continue to develop them. And this is not a 1 week or 1 month, but it's a year-long deal.
Yeah, Ron, I mean, you had spring ball, you have this fall camp, but this is opening night, first time the lights are on, playing a different team. Are there one or two questions you have in your mind that you're anxious to have answered about your guys?
I'm excited to see them play. I think they're going to play really, really hard. I think they bought into everything we're asking them to do. I think with any group of people, whether it be coaches or trainers or players, it's when you get uncomfortable and when you feel pressure and when circumstances strike, how do you respond? And so that's what we want to train them to do. We want to train them to respond properly to adversity. In fact, I'm going to meet with them today, and that's what that meeting is going to be about mental toughness, which is really basically the ability to withstand without tearing or breaking. So, that's what I want to see where we are at that in terms of that.
Ron, when you look at Georgia Tech, what do you see from their offense? And more importantly, I guess, or as a side note, their quarterback, their transfer quarterback, what kind of challenges does he present?
Well, their offense is, they're going to run the ball, and they're going to run gap schemes, and they're going to bring pullers. And but this is what struck me about Georgia Tech, particularly towards the end of the year. They don't quit. They come back on North Carolina. They're down by 2 possessions, I believe, in North Carolina. They come back on Virginia Tech. They're down by 2 possessions. So you're playing a team that, to me, that shows character. So you're going to have to understand you're playing a team that has some character, number one. Number two, this quarterback, after I watched him, I said, Jeff, I like the quarterback. I mean, I think he can throw the ball, and I think he is not afraid. And he said, no, we wanted him. We recruited him. We came down to the end with him. So you're talking about a guy who can run, I think, a little bit. He's got some toughness. He'll stand in there in the pocket. And I think he can throw. I think he can throw the football. So it'll be a challenge for our defense.
Ron, going back to MJ Griffin, you talked about trying to develop the depth there and sort of that next man up mentality. How have the guys in the secondary and specifically in that safety room kind of rallied around MJ to try and pick up the slack for losing him?
Well, they all want to play. And they all think they're better than we think they are. You know how that goes. They're a lot better than we think they are. So I think they're just like, not in a negative way, but they're like, I give my shot. So, I mean, I don't worry about that part. It's just, I coach every guy. I mean, I'm one of those guys. I coach every player. I don't see, for example, I don't see walk-ons as opposed to scholarships. When I was at Arizona State, we had Adam Archuleta, a first-round pick, started for the Rams in the Super Bowl as a rookie. He was a walk-on. All right, we had an offensive lineman, same thing. Started for Cincinnati, first-round pick, walk-on. So I coach every guy. I like coaching, so I coach every guy.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned mental toughness a couple of times. How important to you in your coaching philosophy is mental health and instilling pressure being a privilege to your players?
You know what? The pressure being a privilege, that is true. That is true. Expectations are a privilege. So all that is true. People say that, but it really is a fact. You know, in terms of the mental health, I'm not an expert on mental health, but I do think that a positive mental outlook and being happy and enjoying what you're doing, you're only going to do it better. So what I try to do is build relationships, and then therefore I can see if a guy's having a bad day or a bad month or something's bothering him or whatever. So that's how I try to be involved in the sense of being able to read a guy, and if he's having, particularly freshmen. So I got a kid, he's a freshman at Navy, my son, and he, I talked to him a couple weeks ago. He didn't quite sound the same. He sounded a little bit down and all that stuff. And then I talked to him yesterday, and he sounded like a different guy. So to me, that's how you can help these young men as a mentor, as a coach, is just being able to feel when they are not quite right.
Ron, what's that competition at linebacker been like? It's the one position where people, lost a lot, didn't have a ton of experience, brought some guys in.
Yeah.
TJ had a great spring, and it seems like he had a really good fall. What's the competition been like, and how has he progressed?
Well, they all are progressing. I think they're all going to continue to get better as it goes. Coach Ivey puts a lot of pressure on himself to perform and put some expectations on those guys to perform. They're getting better and better. I'm not, you know what? I feel good about them. I do. I feel good that they're going to get better and better. I love the coaches that are coaching them. The coaches care, and they're detailed, and they're trying to please me, and they're trying to please Coach Brom, and they're trying to help their players. So I feel good about that room.
And kind of building off of that, do you think there's an expectation that maybe TJ Capers gets involved at some point this season, or are you guys still kind of playing it by ear with his injury?
Well, we got to get him healthy first. We got to get him healthy first, and then we got to be able to see what he is at this level. At the level he came from, I thought he was outstanding. He's a big guy who can run now and will strike you. So we just need to see, how does he learn? You know what I mean? How does he process information? Can he show up every day? Those type of things.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you.